There's phenomenal programs that you can get to do that with, like Scratch Live and other programs like that. You can do it on CD turntables, so it's a bit more accessible and not as bulky necessarily as just doing it, like starting on vinyl. But that's really where you got to start. You got to start listening to a lot of music. You got to start buying a lot of it, and really having that ear of, wow, that could go into that track really well, and that's kind of the starting block right there.
For sure. Now, and you sort of mentioned this earlier about not recommending someone to even really get into the club scene, that'd be the wrong thing to do. But in the midst of that, there obviously it would probably just be an instant fatality if someone only tried to listen to Christian music in general, because it's so far inferior. But in the midst of listening to different music, this person is wanting to buy a lot of music, listen to a lot of music, gain that ear. How would you give them wisdom, though, to maybe navigate a dark culture during that process?
I think the music itself is a bit safer than the culture itself. It's honestly a rare thing that you come across a track that's about just overtly about sex. I mean, they're definitely out there, if that's kind of what you're asking. Even kind of like the safe zones when listening to music. That's really going to have to be a place of discernment, because I follow tons of blogs, tons of record labels, and you just really have to walk guarded continually, and so I think that can be navigated, especially just the web scene can be navigated, but the club scene, I honestly wouldn't even advise it unless you really unless God comes to you on a flaming pie and says, hey, go into the club scene,
Right. Okay. Now, in the midst, can you speak just for a little bit to the Christian creative person in excellence? Now, you're one of the reasons I even wanted to speak with you is because you stand out as a believer when it comes to art and music in excellence. And for a while, I followed Christian techno back in the day, and it was always second rate, and that's kind of true with a lot of Christian music in general. So what are some of your thoughts as far as work ethic and excellence? And you mentioned DJing, you got to bring it. What are your thoughts to the Christian creative as far as not just being subpar and mediocre as they pursue this?
I think it kind of really goes across almost anything that you're doing. You got to surround yourself with, at least in your local capabilities, surround yourself with the people that are doing the best, in that field. And you also got to surround yourself with people who are thinking the best. It's guys that aren't just like, yeah, just do this kind of. I mean, where's their vision? Where are they going with this? Are they just dabbling, or do they really want to do something with it? Not that there's anything wrong with dabbling, but you know what I mean.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, gosh, I got to kind of get myself back to train of thought. So you're asking again.
Just your thoughts on excellence, work ethic,
excellence, right?
Christian creative.
Yeah, really, honestly, you've got to. Though I do kind of celebrate. There's been so much better, just Christian music in general. I think we've really gotten the picture, and we've really started to understand things. I can't necessarily say that for the mainstream of Christian music, but I've been spoiled. I'm in a really phenomenal hub of just pretty much the most excellent Christian music writers out there, I think, right. And so to be around that's amazing in that sense. But yeah, it's really, you've got to find the best, and you got to listen to the best, and you got to observe the best when it comes to DJs and all. And it's great that you can find a Christian DJ or two here and there, and that's awesome. But man, you really got to find those guys who are the top of their field, right, and follow. And that's what I mean. I guess that's kind of what I did. There were guys that I just listened to, like Frankie Bones and Sasha. Dude, Sasha sets, I would just listen and try to figure out where one track is going from another, and like, where did that transition come from? Sure. And those guys, and just listening to tons and tons of mix CDs and mixtapes, and just dissecting them, And so, I mean, the Christian electronic music thing was a bit more of an aside for me, though it wasn't a deliberate one, it was just I just gravitated to the best sound. Not, and that's not a bragging thing. It's like probably bragging on my shoe size or my eye color. It's like I had nothing to do with that. It's just what I did,
Right.
And so, you're just really finding the best in your field and going towards that. And that's one thing. I know that question was a bit broader.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Last couple questions. Currently, where do you go to church, and do you DJ there?
Yeah, I do. I go to Elevation. Elevation's a pretty amazing church going on in Charlotte, and they have a few campuses, and they really, really just kind of, I think just because the pastor and the kids who started the church, that it's not like they're like, hey, let's get in multimedia. It's just that's kind of who we are. We are. It's official. We are no longer a reading generation. We are now into the image-based video era. This is how we receive information, and these guys are like, hey, let's be on the cusp of that.
Right.
And all that. That's pretty tight. And yeah, I definitely do. I love their heart. I love their heart for the community, and their heart to really, really see kids grow in their gifts. And yeah, I DJ there definitely.
So what's like any given week or an event? What's it like when you do for?
Well, there's been a few things. We've actually had full-on electronic worship experiences, and me and a few of the guys actually remixed some of their songs, and then we got on stage that morning with one of the worship leaders and did the tracks, which was pretty stinking cool. Yeah. Obviously a few parameters, but it wasn't a band. It was like me and one of the worship leaders,
Right.
Which was super cool. And then DJing. One thing that I do right now is they have a really large youth meeting on Sunday nights, and I just DJ before they come in. A good 20-25 minute set. Hype the crowd.
Right.
It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. And then for you, what are some upcoming sets that you have in the church, in churches, or also just annually? You mentioned before festivals and some things. What are some specific?
Right, yeah. I do Worship Fest every year out in Greenville, North Carolina, with a really amazing group out there. 622. They're a Greenville-based organization, and yeah, they're amazing. It's very community-minded and very much about the youth. And I do that every year. And I'm doing Harvest Fest at Morning Star this year, actually in just a few days. And then yeah, just other. I'm probably forgetting a few. I go down in Atlanta at this one church, Northgate, quite a few times, probably at least twice a year, and do some DJ and stuff, and just bring it. And it's a blast.
Cool. All right, last two questions. What artists, and you mentioned that you have the privilege of being with some of the best artists in Christian music, what artists in the faith world, not necessarily just electronic, do you kind of roll with, and maybe some people that viewers should check out?
Man, definitely Mark Mathis and Public Radio. He's a great friend of mine, and he's, I think, one of the best songwriters out there. John Mark McMillan, a lot of guys already know him, and he's been in all kinds of stuff. He's big to do. And then just all my friends who are worship leaders, like Molly Williams and Joel Corey and Eric Kirchen, and then you got other bands like Big Brother and Flagship and Luz, and these are all friends of mine, and they're amazing musicians, and especially the bands towards the end, they're not necessarily Christian bands. They love the Lord, but they play out. Matrimonies, they're really starting to get some headway, and it just seems like it's time to get out there, and they're doing it, and they're phenomenal shows. Yeah.
Cool. Have you ever been a part of the Art Sound outlet, or do you know much about gatherings like that are kind of even training on electronic?
Yeah, I've been a part of some of those. I don't know if you're talking about one specifically, but we've Joe Corey a few years ago, we actually did a small conference, or I guess kind of a quote-unquote camp on electronic music, and taught everything from mixing to editing, all that. Paulette Wooten was part of that as well. And so there are those times, and at Worship Fest in Greenville, I've gotten to introduce the kids to turntablism and mixing. Every once in a while, we'll get to do that as well. Definitely would love to do that more, though. I'll tell you that.
Sure. All right. So then, lastly, if people want to connect with you further, what are some ways that they could websites? Do you have CD ways to support you if they want to just kind of partner with you?
Well, musically, I do have a worship CD out. I mean, it's just kind of my worship music, but it's definitely got that electronic stuff in it, because I can't go anywhere without that. It's like leaving the house without shoes on, and that's called Shema, SH''MA. You can get it on iTunes. Look me up, Brandon Willett. Other music, I have a blog that I post a lot of music and art, design, architecture, art. It's just www.bwillikers.blogspot.com, and tons of downloads all the time, and all that goodness. And so those are the two easiest places. And then you can just find me on Facebook as well. I also have my art website, which is just brandonwillett.com, and that's just pretty much featuring all my art, to look through, and then contact me if you need, if you want something or whatever. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much for talking with Think Media TV. Down below in the description, we'll have links to all of Brandon's stuff, as well as just anything else that he thinks of. I think probably one of the best introductions to your maybe you spinning and mixing is the Harvest mix that you have. So we'll put a link down there. That's a full set that you've done that people can just download and listen to. That's kind of a worship experience. That's just free down below. So click on that. Think Media TV. Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for taking your time. And we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
I believe God wants to restore to us the joy of our salvation.